Hi everybody and welcome to Istanbul, Turkey. In this Istanbul travel video, I will show you the 25 top tips for what to do in Istanbul, Turkey. So if you are looking for inspiration for your next travel to Istanbul and want to see the most beautiful parts of Istanbul, this will hopefully be the best Turkey travel video for you. Istanbul is one of my favorite cities in the world. There is so much to see and do in Istanbul that the city can get a bit overwhelming at first. And you will certainly need a bit of time to discover the many hidden gems Istanbul city has to offer. I've been several times now and I always discover something new. The best places in Istanbul might not necessarily be just the Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque in Sultan Ahmet, or the Grand Bazaar in Fatih. Of course, these are must-see sightseeing landmarks for any Istanbul traveler, and you don't want to miss those on your next trip to Istanbul. But the beautiful flowers and birds in Gulhane Park, the amazing selection of homemade candy at Altan Şekerleme candy store, or the beautiful view of Istanbul at night from one of the excellent restaurants at the Bosphorus in Karaköy might be just as spectacular. In this Istanbul travel vlog, I've put together the best things to see in Istanbul, ranging from the iconic Galata Tower to Istiklal Street and Taksim Square, from the fascinating Spice Bazaar and the majestic Süleymaniye Mosque in Eminönü to my favorite Turkish ice cream parlor in Karaköy on the Asian continent side of Istanbul. I will also show you some of the best food places in Istanbul, although do also check out my special Turkish food video on Istanbul street food to try and the best dishes to eat in Turkey. I will put the link down below. But let's get started with the first tip, and that is to enjoy a luscious Turkish kahvaltı breakfast in one of Istanbul's many excellent restaurants. Start your day with a yummy breakfast buffet consisting of various small dishes with tons of flatbread, various cheeses, jam, cucumber and tomato slices, olives, honey, scrambled eggs, simit bread rings, yogurts, and the list goes on and on. And to that, a nice Turkish tea or coffee, and you will be hard-pressed to find a better start into the day. Kahvaltı restaurants can be found everywhere in Istanbul city, and most serve a similar variety of plates. I recommend the ones in Beyoğlu, Ortaköy and Karaköy, but really anywhere you stay you will find a good one in your neighborhood. Tip number 2. Stroll across the historic Byzantine Hippodrome. Now that you have gathered the strength for an extensive excursion, let's first cover some of the must-see classics in Sultan Ahmet. It is impossible to visit Istanbul and not visit the historic center of Constantinople with its many iconic landmarks. A first obvious stop needs to be the Hippodrome of Constantinople, nowadays also called Sultan Ahmet Square. An impressive, elongated park which used to be the place where horse and chariot race spectacles were held as early as 1900 years ago. Although the Hippodrome is usually associated with Constantinople's days of glory as an imperial capital, it actually predates that era. The first Hippodrome was built in 203 AD and in 324, when Emperor Constantine the Great decided to greatly enlarge the city. This also led to the renovation of the Hippodrome. It is estimated that the Hippodrome of Constantine was about 450 meters, that's about 1476 feet long, and 130 meters or 427 feet wide. The stands were capable of holding a whopping 100,000 spectators at the time. Compare this to a modern football and sports arena and you get a sense of the dimensions. Throughout the Byzantine period, up until the 15th century, the Hippodrome was the center of the city's social life, and it only lost its importance during the Ottoman period as the sultans were less interested in horse racing. The racetrack at the Hippodrome was U-shaped, and up to today one can still see the dimensions of the now vanished Hippodrome, which lies about 2 meters below the current surface. When you're there, definitely check out some of the original statues that date back hundreds and even thousands of years. The most iconic landmark is the obelisk of Theodosius the Great, who in 390 brought the obelisk from Egypt and erected it inside the racetrack. Carved from pink granite, it was originally erected at the temple of Karnak in Luxor during the reign of Thutmose III in about 1490 BC. Theodosius had the obelisk cut into 3 pieces and brought to Constantinople. The top section survived, and it stands today where Theodosius placed it on a marble pedestal. The granite obelisk has survived nearly 3,500 years in astonishingly good condition. When you're there, also have a look at the serpent column dating back to the 5th century to commemorate the Persian Wars, the walled obelisk from the 10th century, and the German fountain, also known as the Kaiser Wilhelm Fountain, an octagonal domed fountain in Neo-Byzantine style, which was constructed by the German government in 1900 to mark the German Emperor Wilhelm II visit to Istanbul in 1898. Tip number 3. Visit the iconic Blue Mosque. From the fountain, you can already see the Blue Mosque, which is just behind a walled garden. Also going by its official name Sultan Ahmed Mosque, the Blue Mosque is an Ottoman-era historical imperial mosque constructed between 1609 and 1616 by Sultan Ahmed I on the former grounds of the Byzantine palace. It got its nickname from the 20,000 hand-painted glazed blue ceramic tiles in 60 different tulip patterns which adorn the mosque's interior walls. The lower stories are illuminated by 200 stained glass windows. At night, the mosque shines in blue as light frames the mosque's 5 main domes, 6 minarets and 8 secondary domes. It is still a functioning mosque but open for visitors. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the top tourist landmarks of Istanbul. Although the building is currently under renovation and thus slightly less impressive to visit right now due to the extensive scaffolding. Tip number 4. Go back in time at the Hagia Sophia. Facing the Blue Mosque on the Golden Horn side of Sultan Ahmed lies one of the most iconic religious buildings of mankind, the Hagia Sophia. Built from 532 to 537 as the patriarchal cathedral of the imperial capital of Constantinople, it was the largest Christian church of the Eastern Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, and the Eastern Orthodox Church, and it remained the world's largest cathedral for nearly 1,000 years, until the Seville Cathedral was completed in 1520. After the fall of Constantinople to the Ottoman Empire in 1453, it was converted to a mosque by Mehmed the Conqueror and the 4 minarets were added. From its initial conversion until the 1616 construction of the Blue Mosque, it was the principal mosque of Istanbul. The complex remained a mosque until 1931 and was reopened in 1935 as a museum by the Secular Republic of Turkey under Ataturk. Until 2019, it was Turkey's most visited museum, but lost the status of museum in 2020 when the government of Turkey decided to convert it back into a mosque. The biggest notable immediate differences are that there is no entrance fee to enter the Hagia Sophia and the historic 6th century floor is covered by a turquoise carpet. The building now serves as an active place of worship during prayer times, but still very much feels like a busy museum outside of prayer times, with tons of visitors admiring the impressive building. Personally, I find there are more serene and quiet places for prayer in Istanbul, such as the Süleymaniye Mosque or the brand new Çamlıca Mosque, which I will cover a bit later in this video. But that is of course a matter of personal preference. In any case, a visit to the Hagia Sophia is a must-do when in Istanbul. The gigantic dome of this cultural icon is breathtaking, and the design of the building has set architectural standards for hundreds of years. When you're there, make sure to check out the many historic details of the complex, including the loggia of the Empress, the lustration urns carved from a single block of marble in the 2nd century BC, the wishing column, the imperial gate, and the many beautiful mosaics from the 10th and 12th centuries throughout the building. Here's my tip number 5. Escape the summer heat at Yerebatan Cistern. Crossing the street from Hagia Sophia, head over about 150 meters southwest to the Basilica Cistern or Yerebatan Cistern, which is Turkish for subterranean cistern. It is the largest of several hundred ancient cisterns that lie beneath the city of Istanbul. Built in the 6th century during the reign of Byzantine Emperor Justinian I as a water reservoir and filtration system for the Great Palace of Constantinople, it continued to provide water to the Topkapı Palace after the Ottoman conquest in 1453 and into modern times. This cathedral-sized cistern is a gigantic underground chamber that spans approximately 138 meters or 453 feet by 65 meters or 213 feet, and is capable of holding 80,000 cubic meters of water. The ceiling is supported by a forest of 336 marble columns, each 9 meters or 30 feet high. It's not only an impressive structure, but also a welcome escape from the summer midday heat in the city. Tip number 6. See how the powerful Ottoman sultans lived at Topkapı Palace. Now let's head back over to Topkapı Palace, which is situated just behind the Hagia Sophia. The Topkapı Palace, or Topkapı Saray, served as the main residence and administrative headquarters of the Ottoman sultans in the 15th and 16th centuries. The monumental structure was built under Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror starting in 1459, 6 years after the conquest of Constantinople. The palace complex consists of 4 main courtyards and many smaller buildings. Female members of the Sultan's family lived in the harem, and leading state officials, including the Grand Vizier, held meetings in the Imperial Council building. After the 7th century, Topkapı gradually lost its importance. The sultans of that period preferred to spend more time in their new palaces along the Bosphorus, but the imperial treasury, library and mint remained at Topkapı. Since 1924, the palace is a museum. The palace complex has hundreds of rooms and chambers, but only the most important are accessible to the public nowadays. Imagine the palace more as an extensive complex rather than a single monolithic structure, with an assortment of low buildings constructed around courtyards, interconnected with galleries and passages. Few of the buildings exceed 2 stories, which make the palace look somewhat unimpressive from the outside. Highlights to see are the Ottoman Imperial Harem and the Treasury, where several notable artifacts are on display, such as the Spoonmaker's Diamond and the Topkapı Dagger. The beautiful gardens, historic displays and fantastic views of the Bosphorus make it a must-see when in Istanbul. You have a choice between different tour packages depending on how many parts of the museum you plan to visit. Note that the palace is quite large and you will have to do a decent amount of walking. I'd factor in at least 2 hours for the small tour, but you can easily spend more time there. As a tip, I recommend the audio tour guide when you're there. I found it more convenient to explore the complex on my own with a helpful audio guide that is available in numerous languages. The palace is open from 9 AM to 5 PM daily, except Tuesdays, with summer months being open until 6 PM. Entrance is about $17. Tip number 7. Watch the birds at Gülhane Park. Just a short walk down the hill from Topkapı Palace, you'll find the entrance of Gülhane Park. Gülhane Park is a historical park which used to be part of the Topkapı Palace complex. Nowadays, it's open to the public and the oldest and one of the most expansive public parks in Istanbul. What makes it special for me is the quiet and serene atmosphere and the old trees that provide welcome shade against the summer sun. It's also known for its beautiful flower arrangements, which are particularly impressive during springtime. Grab a simit, durum or any other snack and relax on a park bench watching the many birds go about their daily routines. You won't find a better place in Sultan Ahmed for a quiet break from the often busy and crowded places in the area. As a special tip, go there in the early morning when you're almost all by yourself in this beautiful green oasis in the middle of Istanbul. Tip number 8. Wander through the historic Marmaray-Çerkezi İstasyonu Orient Express train station. Our next stop in Fatih is the iconic Marmaray-Çerkezi train station. Also listed on maps as Istanbul railway station, it's the former railway terminal of the world-famous Orient Express train. Built in 1890 by the Oriental Railway as the eastern terminus for the train that used to operate between Paris and Istanbul from 1883 all the way to 2009. It hasn't lost any of its charm. While the Orient Express is history now, one can still get a sense of the former glamour when visiting the simple but beautiful waiting halls and terminal restaurants. Nowadays, the main transport activity, however, happens below the ground. Since 2013, Marmaray Station hosts a new underground station that provides direct train service between Marmaray all the way across the Bosphorus to the Asian side of Istanbul. It is thus an important commuter railway station and a convenient departure point for visits to the Asian side of the Bosphorus Strait. On some evenings, the old halls of the train station host dancing dervish shows for an entrance fee. Tip number 9. Try the famous balık ekmek fish sandwich and watch the fishermen at Galata Bridge. Now we've made it all the way to the Bosphorus down at Eminönü. From here, you can take the ferry boats to Kadıköy on the Asian side of Istanbul, but more on that later. For now, I'm continuing my walking tour to another highlight of Istanbul. I'm going to have a balık ekmek, a fish sandwich, with one of the vendors that have anchored the colorful boats by the Eminönü shore of the Golden Horn, right behind Galata Bridge. Balık ekmek is one of Istanbul's most iconic street foods and a real classic must-have when you visit Istanbul. It's simply a white bread roll with freshly fried fish and onions, and that makes for a yummy snack at any time of the day. Take a rest in front of the boats and watch the fishermen at Galata Bridge, or just the busy activities of locals going about their daily business on the large square in front of Eminönü bus stop. Tip number 10. Buy Turkish delight and hard candy at Altan Şekerleme candy store.
Another thing that you have to do when you're here in Istanbul is you have to get yourself some candy. And lokum or Turkish delight is really something that doesn't only make for a good present, but it's also very yummy for yourself. So I'm gonna go into one of the most legendary candy stores here in Istanbul, and we're gonna have a look.
With newly gained energy, let's head to one of my personal highlights of any Istanbul trip, and that is to buy candy. If you have a sweet tooth like I do, you have to check out the various pastry and candy shops in Eminönü. They sell wonderful selections of Turkish delight, homemade candy and baklava. My favorite shop is Altan Şekerleme Candy Store, which is a small family-run business that is not only worth supporting, but also offers the most delicious Turkish delight and homemade candy selections in huge colorful jars. Please do check them out and thank me later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Tip number 11. Marvel at Constantinople's first line of defense, the Theodosian Wall. Further up in Eminönü, we will check out one of the perhaps most underrated sightseeing landmarks in Istanbul, the Theodosian Wall. Built in 9 years, up to 413 during the reign of Emperor Theodosius II, the double Theodosian walls are largely regarded by historians as the single most important defensive system of late antiquity and perhaps the most successful and influential city walls ever built.
And I'm right here at the wall of Theodosius, which was built 1500 years ago, in the 5th century. And it's arguably one of the most effective and most impressive city walls ever built, and lasted much for the Byzantine Empire until the Ottomans came and conquered the city of Constantinople.
For over a millennium, the walls allowed the city and its emperors to survive in a fragile situation. It was only in 1453, at the final Ottoman siege, that the Turkish armies finally managed to overcome the massive walls and take over the city. Naturally, Mehmed had the wall repaired and it continued to serve its purpose under the new reign of the Ottomans. The Theodosian walls consist of the main inner wall, which is 4 to 6 meters up to 20 feet thick and 12 meters high, and a lower outer wall that is 2 meters thick. Of the 96 towers that line the wall, only 62 have survived. A total of 9 gates existed, some of which can still be seen today, such as the Golden Gate and the Gate of Belgrade. Many sections of the wall have been restored to their former glory, and it is truly impressive to see the size of this fortification.
There's history everywhere here. As you can see, it's still in pretty good shape. That thing is huge.
Tip number 12. Visit my favorite mosque in Turkey, the Süleymaniye. The Süleymaniye Mosque is my favorite mosque in Istanbul and one of the most beautiful mosques I've visited anywhere. The mosque was built under Suleiman the Magnificent between 1550 and 1557. For 462 years, it was the largest mosque in the city and was only recently surpassed by the new Chamlika Mosque, which I will cover later in this video. The interior of the mosque is almost a square, 59 meters in length and 58 meters in width, about 194 by 190 feet. This forms a huge open space. The dome is flanked by semi-domes and stained glass windows open to the Qibla wall. What makes the mosque so beautiful to me is the simplicity of its design and the beautiful yet simple ornamentation of the interior. The mosque is an active place of worship, but parts can be visited by tourists as well. The gardens around the mosque are also worth visiting, as they offer one of the best views of Istanbul over the Golden Horn all the way to Galata. If you are looking for a quiet and serene place away from the hustle and bustle of the streets, the Süleymaniye is a perfect choice. Tip number 13. Get lost in the world's largest bazaar, the Grand Bazaar of Istanbul. Just a short walk from the Süleymaniye, you will find the Grand Bazaar of Istanbul, the world's largest bazaar and probably one of the most famous places in Istanbul. With over 4,000 shops, 60 streets and 11 entrance gates, the Grand Bazaar is one of the oldest and largest markets of the world. It's certainly not a quiet place, as it receives between 250 and 400,000 visitors every day, adding up to a whopping 91 million annual visitors. Whether you want to buy some souvenirs or do window shopping, one can spend hours strolling through the market, with its many traditional Turkish goods ranging from the famous Turkish carpets to custom-made Turkish lamps and Turkish garments. No matter what you're looking for, you will likely find it here. There is so much to see at the Grand Bazaar that I have a separate travel walking tour video just on the Grand Bazaar, where I will also give a few tips on your visit and how to haggle for the best prices. I love the special atmosphere in the market, the lighting, the smells, and the beautiful artworks for sale. A visit of Istanbul without coming here would definitely be incomplete. Tip number 14. Buy pomegranate syrup, spices or tea at the famous Spice Bazaar.
So I'm standing here in front of the Spice Bazaar, and that's another thing that you definitely have to check out when you're in Istanbul. Let's go in there.
If you follow one of the many streets leading downhill towards the Golden Horn, you will reach the beautiful Spice Bazaar of Istanbul. Located in the Eminönü quarter of the Fatih district, it is the most famous covered shopping complex of the Grand Bazaar and another must-see landmark when visiting Istanbul. The Spice Bazaar has a total of 85 shops selling spices, Turkish tea, Turkish delight, pastry and other sweets, dried fruits and nuts. You will find oils, syrups and coffee. The vendors will be more than happy to show their goods and invite you to taste the many tantalizing products. Quite frankly, it's close to impossible to walk out there without a purchase. The products might be a bit more expensive than in other places, but the quality is usually top-notch and the whole atmosphere an experience in itself. The building structure dates back to 1660 and in itself is beautiful. Two intersecting covered streets make orientation somewhat easier than in the much larger Grand Bazaar. Tip number 15. Take the second oldest metro of the world, the Tunnel Funicular in Karaköy. Now that we're back at the Golden Horn in Eminönü, where I had the fish sandwich earlier, I'm crossing the famous Galata Bridge over to Karaköy, passing the fishermen who throw their fishing rods over the bridge in hope for a good catch. If you go straight over the bridge, you will see the unassuming base station of the second oldest metro of the world after the London Tube. The tunnel takes visitors from Karaköy up the Galata Hill to Istiklal Street, which we will cover a little bit later in this video. The tunnel is in operation since 1876. The ride is rather short, but still quite a nice experience and definitely a good idea during the hot midday hours as the hill up to Galata is rather steep. Get an Istanbul transport card and load some Turkish lira on it at one of the kiosks in the beautiful historic entry hall. Once you arrive at the top, you can either head directly to Taksim, walk down the famous Istiklal Street, or, and this is what we will do, first visit the famous Galata Tower. Tip number 16. Visit the historic Galata Tower in Beyoğlu for the best views over Istanbul. The Galata Tower, or Galata Kulesi in Turkish, was initially called Christia Touris, the Tower of Christ, by the Genoese, and built in 1348. It is a medieval stone tower with a high cone-capped cylinder that dominates the skyline and offers a breathtaking panoramic view of Istanbul's beautiful historic peninsula and all the way to the Asian continent. Built by the Genoese, the tower once was the highest point in the city walls of Galata, a former Genoese colony of what is of course now Turkey. The tower is about 63 meters tall and was the city's tallest structure when it was built. While most of the city walls from the Genoese times are gone nowadays, the Galata Tower survived and has become a favorite for travelers from all over the world. It is open to the public every day of the year for a small entrance fee. You can climb to its upper floors, which have a balcony that offers amazing panoramic views of Istanbul. A climb to this fantastic view is definitely one of the best things to do in Istanbul. No wonder Galata Tower was also included in UNESCO's World Heritage Temporary List for Turkey. As a special tip, you may want to check out Galata Tower in the evening, because that's another really amazing sight. Tip number 17. Watch Istanbul's cats getting fed in the neighborhoods. Istanbul is also known as the capital of cats, with over 125,000 feral cats roaming free. And no matter where you go in the city, you will see cats looking for food or eating raw meat, fish and other delicacies. But luckily, they don't have to look far, as the city streets are lined with food and water bowls and small cat houses placed by residents in a communal effort to look after the street cats. You will see cats everywhere, and it is fun to watch them go about their daily business or just relax on a bench. I've made an entire video on cats, which I will link below. If you enjoy cats, this is yet another reason to visit Istanbul. Tip number 18. Walk along Istiklal Street for the best window shopping in Istanbul. Let's head up the hill again to walk towards Istiklal Avenue. Istiklal Kadesi translates to Independence Avenue and is a long pedestrian shopping street which ends at Taksim Square. Also known as Grand Avenue of Para, it might be the most famous street in Istanbul, and it's definitely one of the most beautiful. It is lined with numerous local and international shops, cafes, bistros, restaurants, bookstores, cinemas, clubs, patisseries and museums, and offers something for everyone. It is very popular with tourists and locals alike and can get very crowded during weekends. It is visited by nearly 3 million people on a single day over the course of a weekend. It's also quite long, so prepare for a bit of a walk if you plan to explore the street in its full length. Alternatively, you can also jump on the famous nostalgic red tourist tram and make your way down Istiklal without having to weave your way through the crowds. Tip number 19. Visit the beating heart of Istanbul, Taksim Square. If you make your way all the way to the end of Istiklal Street, you will get to Taksim Square. It is impossible to visit Istanbul and not to go to Taksim Square. It's a busy and happening part of the city, as there are always crowds no matter what time of the day or night. It's also very international, and you'll see people from all over the world here. Taksim Square, Taksim Meydani in Turkish, is situated in Beyoğlu and is the beating heart of Istanbul. The square takes its name from the Ottoman-era stone reservoir, which is located in this area and which distributed water to all parts of the city. It is a main transportation hub and a popular destination for both tourists and residents of Istanbul, and is famous for its iconic restaurants, shops and hotels. At the center of the square, you will find the Republic Monument from 1928, which commemorates the 5th anniversary of the foundation of the Republic of Turkey in 1923. The newly built Taksim Mosque is quite an impressive building as well. If you are hungry, stop at one of the food stalls and get some hot chestnuts or yummy pastries. As a tip, the Durham kebab chicken or beef wraps at Taksim are really delicious. Tip number 20. Get some kumpir below the Bosphorus Bridge at Ortaköy. A short tram, metro or taxi ride away from Taksim Square, you can reach Ortaköy. Down by the Bosphorus Bridge, right next to the beautiful Baroque Ortaköy Mosque, you will find numerous small food stands lined up on the pedestrianized cobbled streets. You can take your pick amongst the many vendors that will all compete for your attention. They all pretty much offer the same, kumpir. Kumpir is a gigantic baked potato filled with a choice of a dozen or more toppings. It makes for a quintessential Istanbul street food experience that you don't want to miss, because it's not only a yummy treat but also very filling. Kumpir is also an excellent vegetarian option and a welcome change to the many meaty food offerings in town. You can pick amongst the mind-boggling variety of toppings that at first don't seem to go together well. But my advice is to do like everyone else and pick a bit of everything. Pickled red cabbage, garlic yogurt sauce, Italian salad, pickled vegetables, mushrooms, couscous, hot chili sauce, chopped red cabbage and yogurt, jalapenos, sliced cucumbers, and so on. Take your cardboard kumpir tray to go and take a seat down by the Bosphorus and enjoy the view while you fill your stomach with kumpir. One thing is for sure, you won't leave hungry from there. If you want to get more tips on the best food in Istanbul, please also check out my Istanbul food video on the best food places in Istanbul. Tip number 21. Take a ferry boat to the Asian side of Istanbul. I'm here on the boat right now that takes me from the European side to the Asian side. So let's check it out. One of the many things that makes Istanbul special is, of course, that it spans over two continents, only separated by the Bosphorus Strait. While many of the historic landmarks that date back to the times of Constantinople lie on the European side, one can argue that much of the modern life in Istanbul takes place on the Asian continent. Living costs are relatively more affordable, and many students, young families, and hipsters live in the urban neighborhoods of Karaköy, Moda, and Üsküdar. For visitors, it is therefore a must to take one of the many ferry boats and hop over to the Asian continent, even if it's only for a day. While it is faster to take the metro, the boat trip is of course much more scenic and only takes about 20 minutes. Once there, walk straight up to the small streets to the pedestrian zone with the many bars, restaurants, and cafes that really come alive in the evening. During the day, you may want to check out Walter's Coffee Roastery, a Breaking Bad series inspired cafe where you can have your coffee wearing a hazmat suit. Or walk onwards to Meşhur Dondurmacı Ali Usta, hands down Istanbul's best ice cream shop and a favorite of locals. With your ice cream in hand, you can walk down to the seaside park in Moda, where you can watch the big ships pass by the Bosphorus Strait. Tip number 22. Visit Turkey's largest mosque, the impressive new Çamlıca Mosque, and enjoy the great view across Istanbul. If you like mosques, then my next tip is a must-see when you come to Istanbul, the Grand Çamlıca Mosque. It is one of the newest landmarks the city on the Bosphorus has to offer. Now replacing the Süleymaniye as the largest mosque in Turkey, the Grand Çamlıca Mosque is located at Üsküdar on the Asian continent and was completed and opened in 2019. The $110 million mega project features an art gallery, museum, library, 8 art workshops, a gigantic underground parking space for 3,500 vehicles, a conference hall, and a childcare. Its design was led by 2 female architects who designed the mosque to hold 63,000 people, with special considerations for women. The mosque is also able to accommodate 100,000 people in case of an earthquake. The interior is minimalistic and beautiful, while the exterior features 6 minarets, which represent the 6 articles of Islamic faith. From the garden in front of the mosque, you have a fantastic view over Istanbul, from Üsküdar all the way to the European continent. The easiest way to get there is by taxi, but there's also buses going to Çamlıca Mosque. Tip number 23. Walk along the Golden Horn and watch the sunset over Istanbul. An unforgettable experience in Istanbul is certainly to watch one of the breathtakingly beautiful sunsets over Istanbul. There are numerous places that offer great sunset views across the city, and I made a separate video on that, which you will find linked below in the description. One tip is to walk along the shore of the Golden Horn, passing the fishery and tour boats as you make your way to the many excellent restaurants in Istanbul. Tip number 24. Have dinner at the Bosphorus. As it's getting evening, you may ask yourself where to get the best dinner in Istanbul. Of course, there are so many great options, and you may want to check out my video on the best food places in Istanbul and which Turkish food to try in Istanbul. But here's one tip for a great dinner experience. If you like fresh fish, Istanbul is a great place to have the daily catch fresh on your plate for lunch or dinner. My favorite place to have fish in Istanbul is in Karaköy, where you can find a number of panoramic restaurants along the shore where the Golden Horn meets the Bosphorus. The fish here is affordable and the views are unmatched, as you can watch the ferry boats and fishermen below as you enjoy an amazing dinner. Just get there early or make reservations, as the best tables by the open windows and balconies fill up quickly. Somehow the word is spreading quickly that they offer one of the best views of Istanbul. And here's my last tip, tip number 25. Go on a night tour and experience Istanbul by night. If you still have some energy by now, here's one last tip for you on where to go in Istanbul, and that is a walking tour through Istanbul at night. There are also numerous dinner cruises on the Bosphorus, and they are all definitely worth doing. But I really enjoy just strolling through the city streets in the evening and experience Istanbul by night. If you are with me on this one, please also check out my Istanbul at night walking tour video for the full experience. So this completes this comprehensive and hopefully useful Istanbul travel guide video. If you enjoyed these Istanbul travel tips, please also check out my other videos on beautiful Turkey and many other amazing travel destinations. And also leave me a like and a comment below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Have a good one.